To our last day of TAG, which is covering 7.7a, where we are going back to review linear equations and how we represent those on tables, graphs, word problems. And so my model is really going to be focused on a graph, but in your practice, you will be seeing word problems and tables. So we need to take what I'm going to cover in our notes and use that in all of those situations. So first, when we think about our linear equation, it is always written in the format y equals mx plus b. If we remember, m is referred to as the slope, is referred to as the rate of change, and we also have then the unit rate that we could use as another vocab term for that. We then know b is the y-intercept, or we could say it's the constant. Or we could say when x is 0, it's whatever the y value is. And so we're going to be using these facts in this problem below. So 4 points are shown on the coordinate grid. Which equation can be used to represent the relationship between x and y for the points shown above? So again, Ms. Cardenas does not like looking at answer choices. I'm going to first take what I know about this linear equation and set up my line so that I can figure out what the equation is first before I start getting distracted and tempted by answer choices. So I'm going to make a straight line as best as possible on my graph. So the first thing I'm going to look for is the y-intercept, because I know the y-intercept is on the y-axis. So I'm only going to look at the y-axis, and I see that my graph hits at this number right here. And so if you look very closely, that's going to be b, our y-intercept. And that is at the number 4, the positive 4. So the y-intercept, again, is when x is 0, where does the graph cross on the y-axis? And I see that that's 4. Now, I am left to find m, the slope. And so the way that I'm going to find slope, let me zoom in a little more, is to find the rate of change. So if I'm going to connect 2 points together, luckily they already gave me 2 points, I am going to create my triangle or my pathway to see how I go up and down from this point and left and right to get to this point. So remember, our change in y over our change in x. Remember how we write that as well to find m? Well, I see that if I count my jumps, I am jumping up 2 spaces, and then I'm going over 1 space. So if I wrote that as change in y over change in x, I went up and down 2 spaces. Remember, going straight up and down, and then left and right, I went over 1 space. We do not go diagonally. This is never the way we find our slope. We have to go horizontally and then vertically. So when I simplify 2 divided by 1, I get 2. So my slope is a slope of 2. So in other words, my rate of change, it's increasing by 2 and going over 1, increasing by 2, going over 1. So now that I have my pieces, I know my format is y equals mx plus b. Excuse me. So I'm getting ready to substitute the information I just found into my formula. So this is a way we can set it up to review those pieces. And so I know m is 2, and I know b is 4. Therefore, my equation is y equals 2x plus 4. So I see that's answer choice F. But I do just want to point out that we can also use our elimination strategies to cross out choices that do not make sense. So once I found once I found that b was the number 4, I could go right to my equations and see which one does not include a positive 4. In this case, all of them do. So then we can't cross out anything using this process, but sometimes we can. And then my slope, remember, I know that I'm going in a positive direction from left to right because it's increasing. So sometimes I could look at my slope here and see if any of them are negative, so I could cross things out. Again, this doesn't help in this case, but sometimes it does. And then I can also see that, for example, this one is wrong because they do not have a slope of 2. They think it's going only up by 1 and over 1. So if I made that a little bit better, up by 1 and over 1, which it is not. This one is if we accidentally reversed our slope here, which is a common mistake, and that's why that one's wrong. And then again, the slope here is incorrect because we aren't going up 3 spaces and over 1, right? Instead, we are going up 2 and over 1, so this one is also